So now we have the NFC West. So you got the Rams, Cardinals, 49ers, Seahawks. So for the Rams, they released pretty much their top veteran players. They released Jared Cook, their tight end. They released James Laurinaitis, one of their key linebackers. They released Chris Long, their defensive end. And from doing this, so they saved a total of $24.38 million in cap space and let go of and carry rather $4.7 million in dead money.
And they
so that's how much they guaranteed those players if they didn't pay off.
And what was good with this is they did good with Chris Long because they still have a phenomenal defensive line. Jared Cook isn't that big because he's really old and they have Lance Kendricks behind him he's all right, but like he hasn't blossomed into like that starting role because of Jared Cook. I want to see what he does. And the big one was James Laurinaitis, who's like their leading tackler. He's like the middle stopgap guy in the middle.
They need to. Their defense was their strong suit, and I feel like they're only going to be so strong there for so much longer before they start losing players like Nick Fairley, who's currently a free agent, like
Aaron Donald,
that's what I was about to say, Robert Quinn, all of them, and Chris Long's gone. So they gotta build with that. You know what I mean? They gotta learn. They gotta start building faster because you can't pay Aaron Donald and Robert Quinn that kind of money back to back. You know what I mean?
I think they're like trying to get younger, but at the same time,
it's taking them too long. They gotta try to do something.
Especially since the young guys that they're getting, like Gurley, Donald, like we've seen, they're blossoming into superstars before they even sign their first contract. By the time that first contract comes, they're gonna be like scheduled to make way too much money for them to pay all those guys.
Exactly. Don't they also have Nick Fairley?
He's a free agent right now.
Okay.
They had him. They re-signed Mark Barron to a 5-year deal, and another defensive lineman, William Hayes, who's really good.
The thing with Mark Barron that I love is he was a bust with the Buccaneers. Came over to the.
No, he was good with the Buccaneers.
No, he was a bust. He didn't do that well with the Bucs. He got cut. He 2 years into his time with the Buccaneers. Then with Mark Barron, he went to the Rams, and they instead of putting him at safety, they put him at linebacker. And do you guys know who Deion Buchanan?
Yeah.
Him and Mark Barron are the same thing. He had 116 tackles.
Yeah.
Most middle linebackers don't get that.
And
he did that as an
3 forced fumbles and a sack.
That's insane that was a great job resigning him. I don't know, maybe it was too much money, but for a guy who gets 116 tackles a year, that's just an amazing accomplishment for a guy who was a safety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you were right. What I was getting confused was his rookie and his following year after his rookie year, his sophomore year. He had good seasons those 2 years, but it was his year after he got cut after 7 games and then went to the Rams for the rest of that season.
Yeah.
Then you got Trey Mason was arrested with possession of marijuana and reckless driving. So, curious to see what goes on with that.
I can't believe these guys
I don't know why the people in the NFL.
They have so much. They have so much than the average person, and they just
they
just take it for granted.
They just throw it away.
It's like a perfect example is Josh Gordon.
It's
Threw
terrible.
everything away, not once but twice.
And he's a top 5.
Years.
He's a top 5 wide receiver.
Another one is Martavis Bryant. Not even the fact that he's being paid money yet. He's up and coming. He's a superstar in the making, and he's just letting it all.
Exactly.
He's letting it all go. He's not even.
And did you notice that? I don't know if you guys heard about this, but Martavius is going to a clinic for depression. I don't even know how you're depressed with. But anyway, you got and finally Tremaine Johnson was franchise tagged, and Janoris Jenkins was lost to the Giants. After that, you got the Cardinals. Drew Stanton signed to a 2-year deal for about $6.5 million. And they signed Tavon Branch from the Chiefs for, I think it was a 2-year deal as well. So the Cardinals
they have a lot of safeties. I mean, they're probably gonna put Tyrann Mathieu at corner now, and then put Tavon Branch and Jefferson, or who's the other safety?
Yeah, Tony Jefferson.
I think so. One of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving on to the 49ers, they hired Chip Kelly. Very interesting to see what they're going to do with Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Sounds like he's going to be out the door.
But I think
but also
Chip Kelly.
maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't think Chip Kelly should let him go.
I think.
But a lot of things are sounding like he might. The deal is going to have to be perfect, sorry. But the
It's
deal is
okay.
going to have to be perfect.
Chip Kelly wants Colin Kaepernick because he fits the role that Chip Kelly likes.
Exactly,
As a
yeah.
mobile quarterback who could throw. You know, I think that's going to be big if he does stay in like what they're trying to do in San Francisco.
Yeah. They also re-signed defensive tackle Ian Williams to a 5-year deal. I didn't know this guy was good, but
He's really
he's really good and got a 5-year deal, so that's really nice for the 49ers. And then finally, you got the Seahawks, who you got Jermaine Kearse and Jeremy Lane, both signed to 3-year deals. And a lot of people don't know Jeremy Lane, but he's huge.
He's a huge slot corner.
Huge for the Seahawks.
And also, they lost Bruce Irvin and oh my god, I can't.
Brandon
Maben.
Yeah.
In free agency.
Marshawn Lynch retired, and their left tackle standout Russell Okung is still a free agent, being looked at by many, many teams.
He's a great left tackle.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that, and to see how what's his name, Thomas Rawls, goes into his next year and see how he performs as well.
And they still have Fred Jackson, don't they?
And
or was that only a 1 year?
I think it might have been a 2-year. I'm gonna look that
No,
up.
I think they still have him.
Either way, I feel like if he is there, he can like play a mentor role with Thomas Rawls and help him out. If not just being like not an every down back, but come in every once in a while.
Just especially as more of a receiving threat. Quick question.
It was a 1 year.
It was 1 year? Well, who do you think is going to be better? Thomas Rawls or Jeremy Langford?
Thomas Rawls.
I definitely think it's Rawls.
Rawls?
Yeah.
Well, why do you think Rawls?
I think it's Rawls because, like we've seen with Marshawn Lynch, the Seahawks like to run the ball. They like to... The scheme they run is more of a rushing attack. But in general, I think he's just more talented than Jeremy Langford. I mean, Jeremy Langford is breakaway speed, but I think Rawls is more of an all-around better back.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think it's going to be like a dramatic difference, because I think that Langford's going to catch the ball a little bit more. As you saw, he has great hands.
He's going to be the Matt Forte.
He's going to be Matt Forte, and that's what's going to carry him in a fantasy perspective as being a just if tied, if not maybe slightly better, slightly worse.
Especially in PPR.
Yeah, especially in a PPR. So that wraps up the NFC. But real quick, before we go to our next segment, what do you guys think about each division? Which division got better as a whole? Which division got worse? What do you guys think?
With the NFC,
I think
nothing really happened in the NFC. Like the thing that happened like most in the division is the NFC East. Like a lot happened in that division with the Giants and the Eagles. All in all, the other teams in the NFC, not a lot happened to them. It was mostly an AFC thing. I don't know why, but like none of like the big guys besides the NFC East. Like the only guys that were big signings were Doug Martin, Mohamed Sanu, and a couple other guys. So I would have to say the NFC East.
I say the NFC East definitely made the biggest moves, but I feel like the NFC South is the one that's gonna go from being less competitive from last year.
One?
Okay. I feel like definitely the little moves that each of these teams have made is gonna make a big difference in the long run. Like with Mohamed Sanu, Alex Mack, I feel like they're gonna be good for the Falcons. Doug Martin's important to the Bucks, and another year of Jameis Winston's development.
Mm-hmm.
The Saints, they got Kobe Fleener, which I feel is gonna be good, but other than that, they really didn't get much more competitive. And the Panthers, they had a really good year last year. They'll probably take a step down. I mean, they're not going to be as good as they were last year, but I feel like all these teams did make good moves.
I think that the NFC, I agree with AJ, the NFC made a lot of moves, but due to the Redskins and Cowboys not really doing anything, I'm going to pass on them, and I'm going to go with the opposite of both of you. I'm going to go with the NFC North. Reason being, going to be interesting to see what happens with Jeremy Langford with the Bears. They franchise tagged Alshon Jeffrey. Kevin White's coming back. They got Danny Trevathan, so they should be a little bit better. Packers stayed the same, but they re-signed Mason Crosby.
And they have Jordy Nelson back, which is going to be huge.
And they have Jordy Nelson back. I completely forgot, which is going to be big for them, so they're going to get better. Lions got Marvin Jones, re-signed Haloti Ngata, and
I don't think they're going to be as competitive.
I don't think they're going to be as competitive, but I think it's interesting to see what happens with Marvin Jones. And then the Vikings. got better with their line and freed up a lot of cap space with Mike Wallace. And Michael Griffin, safety, is going to see how he plays as a previously was a Pro Bowler.
Alright, so now that we are done with the free agency, finally, all 8 divisions are done. We are going to move on to Argument of the Week.